Hey guys, and welcome to Cryptosomniac. I am Jason, and we are here today with Calvin Jiang from Castbox. So they are looking to put a content creation platform on the blockchain that will hopefully rival some of the other podcast channels. So let's talk about it. You want to give a little background information on yourself, and we'll go from there?
Yeah, sure. Really glad to be here. Thanks for having me on the show, Jason. My name's Calvin, and right now I'm the CFO for Contentbox, which is the blockchain project that we're working on. And I'm also very involved with a lot of the finance parts in Castbox.
Okay.
And so let me give a little bit of background about Castbox. It's a global Android podcast platform. We're one of the largest. We're consistently ranked in the top 3 apps in Google Play under the news and entertainment category. Right now, we've been around since the beginning of 2016, and we have over 16 million users, over 15 million of audio content, and we're in over 175 countries. We have over 70 languages. So in the 2 years that we've been around, we've grown pretty quickly. Yep.
Sounds like that's some pretty significant numbers. That's one of the questions I was curious about was just, we've seen different platforms launching. Obviously, Tidal is not necessarily a podcast platform, but their adoption strategy was like, we've got Jay-Z and Beyonce, and this is the only place you can get it now. And they've still kind of struggled to see an adoption. So that was what I was curious was what are you guys' plans to kind of drive that adoption a little bit more?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think one of the biggest strengths that we have is that we're very tech focused. So when we first started out, we did a lot of user feedback. We did a lot of iterating. So when users had any sort of feedback, there were any sort of bugs, we would respond immediately, and then we would fix those bugs, and we would come out with a new version. And I think a lot of our users really appreciated that. So a lot of the initial user base that came from that. And then right now, we have something that we call in-audio search. It's a new feature that we launched about a month or two ago. Essentially, it uses natural language processing. So let's say we're having an interview like we are right now. We're speaking. What in-audio search will do is it transcribes the spoken words into the things that we're saying into written words, and then it would search. It would be searchable. So, for example, if we say the word blockchain, we can pinpoint the exact minute and second that it's said, and then jump to that in the podcast.
That's pretty cool. So that would be, I could find that being very useful for researching, especially if you're, being able to search for specific topics to get feedback. Not even necessarily blockchain, but anything really. If any conversation that you're having, like if you want a science podcast or something like that. So that's a pretty cool feature.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Because a lot of people can SEO that. They fill their descriptions up with a bunch of jargon. Sure. But here you have something that's readily searchable. It finds exactly what the user wants.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
And just one other feature that we have, it's similar with a lot of other platforms, but because, we have a very tech-heavy background, we also have a pretty sophisticated search recommendation. So we obviously take into account what you listen to, how long you listen to, what channels you subscribe. We compile all that information to make smart recommendations as well.
Cool. So just on this subject, I'm actually a pretty avid podcast listener, primarily via iTunes, if I'm being honest. But so like, what are some of your favorite podcasts that or like what sort of genre are you into? The murder mysteries and stuff, or what sort of podcasts are you into?
So I'm a finance guy at heart. Sure. So this is going to be kind of geeky, but I listen to a lot of finance podcasts. There's one called Acquired that I really like. Yeah. They talk about a lot of M&A deals. So I'm also a gamer at heart. So sure. One of the first ones I listened to was Activision's acquisition of Blizzard, and I thought that was really interesting. That's really well done. You can check it out if you get a chance.
Is that available on you guys' platform?
Yeah, it is. You can search Acquired, and then it's searchable. Because the way we archive our podcast is we're just a platform. We web crawl all the public RSS podcast iTunes. We will web crawl it.
Okay.
So basically, anything you can find on iTunes, you'll find on ours as well. But we also, we'll work with specific podcasters if they have private RSS, and then we'll pitch them, see if we can use their content. And then we also have some of our original stuff as well.
That's cool. And I feel like that's sort of almost the avenue that it goes is you start off, you get user adoption by, like look at Netflix, right? Their content used to be, well, let's say not what it is now, but they have grown into being this huge media powerhouse that has top level production value and stuff. So I could definitely see as more users adopt and with you guys having immediate feedback and jumping on user issues right away, I could see that being a lot of potential for growth, certainly. Yep,
definitely.
So I was looking into it, and right now you've just got I know it's an ERC20 token, so it looks like it only transacts with Ethereum and Box tokens. Are you planning additional ERC20 support, other blockchain support? Talk to me about that a little bit.
So right now it's ERC20, but we will eventually launch a mainnet. We're targeting middle of next year, so middle of 2019 for the actual Contentbox blockchain.
Okay.
And then all of the Box tokens will migrate on a ratio of 1-to-1 directly to that. But I just want to give a quick overview of what Contentbox is, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, one of the things that we saw when we were working with podcasters is monetization is a huge challenge. That's,
yeah.
I'm sure you're very well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we noticed that, this is a challenge that's faced throughout the digital content industry. So that got us to thinking, hey, maybe we can leverage blockchain somehow and use a token-based economy to help solve some of the monetization issues. So both from the content creator side and also from the user side. So for the creator side, obviously there's a lot of platforms and intermediaries that's taking a lot of your profit and revenue.
Sure.
But the interesting thing is that from the user side, you're also not being rewarded for curating or sharing, commenting content either. Yeah. And we think that users should also be rewarded. So based on these principles, that's how we came up with the Contentbox project.
I like the idea. Certainly rewarding users for it's going to be kind of a similar model to Steemit there, right? Is you're incentivizing people to push the projects that they like, and that in turn goes into allows more revenue available for the content creators to continue to create. Yes. Yep.
We think Steem is a great project. To be perfectly honest, we think it's very, very well done. The smart media tokens, it's a great idea. One thing that differentiates us from Steem is that our Contentbox project, it's at the protocol layer. So it's more the basic infrastructure. Contentbox is a platform, whereas we kind of view Steem as an application. So we think it's a little bit too niche and too specific because Steem, it's primarily for bloggers and for the social network aspect, whereas for Contentbox, it's for all sorts of digital content. So eventually, we want developers to create whatever, videos, audio, pictures, yeah.
Yeah, that's what that was actually sort of what I was leading to was, do you plan on having this become like a, I don't know if iTunes is the right term for it, but effectively somewhere that you could go, becoming like a decentralized app store where you could not only get your musical content, but are you guys planning to offer additional aside from say video and musical content? Are you planning on, like you said, you're a gamer, are you guys planning on competing with Tron at all or anything?
That's a great question. We haven't even thought about that. Mostly we were thinking audio, video, pictures, because this is up to the developers, right? Any sort of digital content we can put within Contentbox. So like I said, it's the protocol layer, and then it's up to the developers for them to design whatever applications they want on top of it.
That's nice. I mean, I think that's part of what's fascinating about the blockchain space in general is just people were like, I had this much of an idea, and now you can go do stuff with it, and you know, then well, just all the different projects getting built on Ethereum, for example. Perfect example of.
Yeah, it is exactly. I totally agree. I mean, you can actually think of our blockchain. It's going to be a new blockchain, kind of like Ethereum as well, but for digital content. And one of the reasons that we're partnering with Castbox and why it makes so much sense is one, we're going to have a huge influx of users directly that are going to be exposed to this blockchain project. And then one of the benefits for Castbox is that users and content creators can start monetizing it. So we think that it's a really great network effect, essentially.
Sure. So while we're on the subject of developing your own blockchain, and I don't know if you're able to share this with me or not, but who are you guys working with for that? Just out of curiosity, who's developing it for you? Do you have?
So we have a CTO. His name is Gang Hu, and he used to be the CTO of 5 Miles.
Okay.
And he came over, beginning of this year. And we have a blockchain scientist. He used to work for Facebook, and he spent a lot of time researching distributed ledgers. Mm-hmm. So he's very familiar with this space as well. And then we obviously have the tech team from Castbox. Right. There's a lot of engineers that are helping with Contentbox as well. And then once we finish our pre-sale, we'll have more capital to find more engineers as well. But right now we have about 10 people working on Contentbox, and about 5 of those are engineers already.
That's good. That seems like a pretty solid allocation of resources.
Yeah, it's definitely a good start.
We tend to like projects that already have an MVP, or have already, like, I think it's great that you guys are going to have that broad of a user base right off the jump. Like that was one of my biggest concerns. Anytime I see projects that are in this vein at all, that's always one of my biggest concerns, is just how are you going to get the users, right? Because obviously blockchain is still not widely adopted around the world yet. I mean, you and I are enthusiasts because this is what we do for a living, but until broader adoption comes on, it's still a bit of a struggle to get user adoption. So I think that partnership is probably a pretty strong thing for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally the network effect. Once you get users on it, that attracts more developers. Once you have more developers with different types of apps, that's going to attract more users, and it just becomes a virtuous cycle. So that's definitely one of the reasons we launched blockchain, and we think it's a huge competitive advantage compared to a lot of other blockchain projects. It's definitely one of our biggest advantages.
Yeah. So talk to me. I know you guys have on the roadmap, you guys have the Box Payout and the Box Passport coming. So talk to me a little bit about those. Are those going to be something that's like competitor to, say, like the Key or Civic or any of those? Like, is this like an identity verification type system? Or talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So for Box Passport, it's going to be a unified identity solution. So essentially, across all the apps within our ecosystem, you can do a single login. You'll have a single identity. You can think of it a little bit like Facebook login or Google login, but the difference is, obviously, with Facebook and Google, they own all of your data.
Yeah, I was going to say they're selling your data and monetizing it. Yes.
That's kind of a big reason why I think a lot of people are using blockchain, but for the privacy. Yeah. So obviously on the blockchain, your data is going to be on there, but you'll have your own private key, and we're adding a privacy function on top of it, so that it's not like Ethereum where you can use Etherscan and you can see how many tokens are inside each wallet. Right. You're not going to be able to see what personal data that I have on my you know what I mean, right?
Right. I'm not going to be able to look at your browsing history and your music library, etc., or whatever.
That's one of the functionalities that we're trying to add on top of it, because privacy is obviously a big issue as well, and we don't want everybody knowing what content we view for obvious reasons.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there could be all kinds of reasons for that. So. If for nothing else than just not being marketed to left and right is, it's I always find it so creepy as these things continue to improve, where, it's to the point where even, you know, like your phone or Alexa or something hears you talking about something, and then next time you get onto Google, there's an ad for it, and that I see how I see from an advertising standpoint and from a marketing standpoint, that's like, oh great, we don't have to do as much work. But just as a consumer, I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it.
It's real creepy. I mean, every time I create, log into a new app, the first thing I do is just turn all the privacy settings, up to high as it can.
Yeah.
I hate that feeling, right? You don't have any control over it.
Yeah. Well, and especially now, not only not having control, but then also knowing that someone else is, you have no control over it, and someone else is monetizing it. It's one of the things that, I am surprised more people haven't started to get interested in the blockchain, just specifically on that, right? Because people will very often act in their own financial interest, especially, and I'm surprised that they're still okay with being on Facebook and giving all this information free and letting that let it go. Basically, it's leaving money on the table. Is effectively like they have alternatives now, and I feel like maybe if more people were aware that not only can you keep your information safe to yourself, but you could actually be compensated for access to that data, rather than big data being the ones getting compensated for it. I think that would help drive adoption.
I think part of it, people are just lazy as well. They're so used to using something. You spend all this time on Facebook, adding all your pictures, getting all your friends together, all your families on it. And then if you have to switch to a whole new platform, it's just a hassle. A lot of people are just lazy, I think. And it's not that big of a deal where they're like, it's life changing, so I have to switch. I have to, deal with my privacy. I can't let anybody see it. So maybe eventually, something will tip the bucket. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know if Edward Snowden's releases didn't make people a little bit sketchy, like enough to be like, maybe we should take another look at this. I don't know what else they're gonna, I don't know what it's gonna take to jog their necessity, but.
Well, we'll see. We're hoping that maybe there's going to be a couple of good blockchain projects where it makes it just super user friendly to use.
Yeah.
And then we'll start using it.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately it, right? It's just it needs to be as easy to use, like the blockchain and its ability to transfer value. It needs to be as easy to use as like Venmo and PayPal and things like that. Just as soon as it's that easy, I think we'll see everybody start using it. So the good news is there's a bunch of new wallets coming out that are looking nicer and nicer. So
yeah, actually, on that topic, that's actually a great segue into our Box Payout. So you know how I was actually on Twitch the other day, and I was watching a PUBG match. I love PUBG by the way. Yeah. Do you play?
No, I do not.
Oh, okay.
I play a little bit of video games, but I've just recently been exposed. Sam and Snay are both pretty big fans of League of Legends, so I've recently been spectating on that a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I used to be pretty big StarCraft player as well, and I watch a lot of StarCraft too. But anyway, so I was on Twitch. I was watching this streamer, and I was like, I'm going to donate a couple bucks. He was pretty good, and so I had to click in. I had to create a Twitch account.
Right.
And then once I created a Twitch account, then it sent me to PayPal, and then I had to create a PayPal account. And so the whole thing, I thought, because I've been in China, we use a lot of QR codes. I could have scanned something and donated something in 2 steps. It would have taken me 5 seconds. Yeah. This whole process took me about like 10, 15 minutes. And it's just not a very good process, to be perfectly honest. Well, so
yeah, especially if you're like on the whim of like, this guy's good, I'm just going to throw him a couple of bucks. Like 15 minutes later, you're like, it's not. The desire is gone, right?
Yeah, I was super annoyed. I was like, this is taking a lot longer than I expected. So it completely made me not want to donate anymore. But one of the things that we're solving with Box Payout is essentially it's a unified payment solution. So the fact that I was just on Twitch, and then if I wanted to go on YouTube, then they have Google Wallet. And then if I go to another platform, then I would have to pay for it with my credit card. It's not a one payment solution where, you know, like in China, you can use WeChat to pay for everything. So that's kind of what we're doing with Box Payout as well. And then another benefit of it as well is obviously with these wallets, there's not going to be any more transaction fees. You know, Visa takes like a 5% cut, PayPal takes their cut. There's not going to be these intermediaries that are taking their cuts anymore. So that's another big advantage.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the user fee on the network. And speaking of which, what do you know what the network fees end up being? That was something I did not have an opportunity to read fully through your white paper before this, I must admit. But
no worries. So we the way we're building Box Payout, we have two ways of doing it. So one is we will develop it in-house. We're doing a lot of research, and then we will either write the code ourselves, or we may see another blockchain project that has a great solution, and then we'll just use that directly. Because another one of our advantages is we're actually very good at cross-chain technology. So integrating different blockchains together, that's one thing that we're doing as well. So, you know, you can think of Box Payout, Box Passport, Box Unpack. These are component levels of the protocol. And so if we see a component that we think is really good, we'll just use that component. You know, there's a lot of smart people in the world. Why not leverage something someone else is doing?
Yeah, that's something I used to be a big do it all myself, or do as much as I can myself, but I've in the last year or two been much more so of like, realize when there's somebody else that's better suited for a task, and then let them do that task for you. You know what I mean? Like, hire them if you need to, or whatever it takes. Like,
exactly. It saves you so much time too. If you outsource something, it's just, you have so much more free time.
Yeah, exactly. And time is the most precious asset, certainly. I'm sure you're aware.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's see. What else? What else did I have? I know I think we've pretty much touched on the majority of the questions that I had up front for the project. Let's do some fun stuff. So you're in Singapore, is that correct?
Beijing. I'm in Beijing.
Okay. Yeah. So what's your favorite part about Beijing?
I love the food.
Yeah.
I'm Chinese, so I grew up eating Chinese food, but the food is really good. And then I got to tell you, it's super convenient. You know, I was born in Beijing, but I grew up in the States.
I was going to say your English is flawless.
I went to the States when I was 3, so that probably explains it.
You speak English like an American.
I guess that was made pretty clear.
Yeah.
So in Beijing, it's super convenient to do anything because of WeChat I mentioned. I hate to make an ad for Tencent, but it's so easy. Like, anywhere I go, there's a QR code. I can pay for everything immediately. It's just the most convenient thing I've ever done. And I don't know why QR codes never got picked up in the US. Do you know why?
I don't know. It's like we got stuck on UPCs or something and just decided that was good enough. I don't it started to happen, but then it just didn't. I feel like there was two different schools of thought on it, right? Because there was like the European version of tap pay, where everything is, you know, you just tap your phone or whatever. And even back when Nokias were still prominent, you know, and you could just go and like IR swipe your phone to pay. And then that people started to think that was cool, and then it just never caught on. And then same thing, QR codes. And I think they sort of just kind of happened too close together. I don't know if that's it, if it was just people had the fatigue of like, we don't want to adopt this new technology because it seems arduous and I don't understand it and I don't want to think about it. I don't know what the deal is. But a QR code is super easy.
It's honestly the easiest thing. So you remember when you have like you're adding a new friend on WhatsApp, and then you have to enter in either their username or their phone number.
Right.
So one of the biggest things we do with WeChat is you use the QR code to scan somebody and then add them immediately. I think that was another added benefit of making the user adoption for QR codes so easy, is that, you know, you don't have to type something in to add like a friend anymore.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. Do you guys have that sort of functionality built into your wallet?
That's actually a good point. I think they will have a QR code for the for your wallet address. So you can use QR codes for that.
Cool. I mean, and that kind of makes sense too, especially in the instance where you're talking about if you're just like watching somebody stream or something like that, and just being able to go send them, let's send these guys some box tokens.
Yeah, yeah. It's going to be super easy to do that. Because the wallet's integrated directly in the Castbox, we're going to have a donate button, and then it's going to go directly from, because the Box wallet is already integrated in the Castbox, it's going to go directly that you don't even need a QR code. But I think if you were, I guess, on a different app, then you could scan it with the QR code.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. For any, say somebody was not necessarily a token holder or something, but had stumbled across, and they were like, I let's get involved. So, and that was also what I was curious if you guys were going to accept other ERC tokens, or I like what you were saying about you guys are working hard on blockchain interoperability. I think that is key for pretty much any new project going forward. Is having the interoperability. I think is very powerful.
That's a great point that you just brought up. I'm sorry that I can't disclose the names of our partners because we haven't announced the PRs publicly yet.
I totally understand.
But we did sign a couple of partnerships in concept with a short video platform, a picture platform, and for some of those platforms, they are also able to accept other ERC20 tokens. So we're doing like cross promote where that app, they will be able to accept Box tokens, and then in Castbox, we'll be able to accept their tokens.
That's pretty clever, actually. I think that's a good way. Again, it's talking about the network effect. You're helping promote both projects simultaneously, which is always a good thing. That's what I've found is a lot of just even in what we do is a lot of reaching out to other influencers and I try to know as many people as I can in the space just because you never know. It's always good to have a good network.
Yeah, definitely. It's invaluable.
So when did you go back to Beijing from the States? I would have been like, you're from Southern California.
I'm actually from Maryland, so it's kind of boring in Maryland, to be honest. Have you ever been to Maryland?
I have not. I haven't spent much time back east in general, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. I came back about 5 years ago. The reason I came back is with my wife, my now wife.
Yeah.
We were engaged at the time when we decided to leave. And, I was in my 20s. I was stuck in a corporate job at Fannie Mae. It was kind of a dead-end job, as much as I hate to say it. So I was like, oh, why not? I'm young. I don't have any kids. Why not take a chance, go to China, see what's out there? And, since I came, it was the best decision I've made.
That's one thing I have found is that doors tend to, when you're moving in the right direction, without getting too woo about it, but when you're moving in the right direction, doors tend to just kind of open themselves in front of you, like when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
I consider myself super lucky and super blessed. I mean, I've been so lucky with the opportunities that came with the support of my wife and her family.
Yeah.
It's just incredible, like the things that I've done here. I've grown so much as a person as well. I'm so happy I made this decision.
Awesome, man. That's great to hear. Positive life affirmations, right? It's one thing to just be like, I guess life's good or whatever, but when you're actually like. I will have times where I just stop and marvel that I'm like, I can't believe I get to do this for a living. Like I can't believe this is my job. It's fun. Like it's crazy. So that's like I'm just saying, I can identify with you that you're just like, I made some moves in the right direction, and it's been a great process. So
yeah.
Well, what else have you guys got coming down the road? Any key dates we should be looking out for that, without, again, I'm not trying to get you to tip your hand, but any tidbits you can give us, or do you want to do the Justin Sun thing and give me an announcement about an announcement?
Obviously we launched our Box wallet that came online yesterday. And then in the next couple of months, we'll be rolling out new features within Castbox for the content creators and the users. So for the content creator side, obviously we talked about the donations. That functionality is going to be added, so you can donate directly to content creators. I think at first we're going to be limiting it to our Castbox originals, so people who we've been partnering with and who've been supporting us at first. And then another one of the functions we'll be adding in Q3 is for the users to earn tokens. So, for example, if you listen, to a podcast for 2 hours a day, you can earn a certain number of tokens. If you like and share podcasts, you can earn tokens. And then eventually, as we go along, we'll add more and more product features like that.
Dude, I'm totally gonna start using this. That's all the time in the car. That's usually what I listen to. I listen to so much music between home and the office and whatever that like generally when I'm in the car I just listen to podcasts. So I'll definitely start using you guys for the way to find my podcast. Why not? Sounds great.
Great. Thank you so much for the support.
Yeah, man. Of course. Well, it's not when there's an aspect of compensation involved. Why would I not? Well, I could go listen to it, on iTunes, or I could listen to it on your platform and earn. Why would I not? Why would I not do that?
That's exactly it makes so much sense, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We have all these tokens that we can issue to our users to help support us. So why not? It's essentially free money. Totally. Oh, one thing I want to mention is that we're not doing a public ICO.
Okay.
We did a private pre-sale because obviously there's a lot of regulations right now in the U.S. especially. So we just found institutional investors mostly in Asia. San Francisco, New York, we have investors, but they're all funds essentially.
Right.
And so we're not doing a public ICO, but we are doing the second round of our airdrop.
Okay.
So check out our website at contentbox.one. It has information about how to earn box tokens for our airdrop.
Sweet.
And just wanted to make that shout out right there.
Cool. That's actually that. While we're on that subject, that was a question that I had that I forgot to even ask. Was are you guys a security token or utility token? I'm assuming it's supposed to be a utility token, but do you know what?
It's a utility token. Yes.
I know the SEC would disagree with you, but fortunately, that's what we hear.
I mean, I personally think it's a utility token. I mean, I don't really think they should basket everything into security. It just doesn't make sense.
I agree.
But it's probably easier for them as well conceptually. So I don't know what their thinking is with that. But we are planning on listing on an exchange near the end of the month. So I think that's going to be a big milestone as well.
Sure. Yeah. That's one. I mean, just in my experience, exchange listings definitely do good things for the market awareness. Let's say that. I don't want to make any promises about anything else, but they certainly do a great job about getting the word out. So that's huge.
Yeah. We're super excited about this project. I'm super excited about this project. That's why we're doing a lot of PR efforts and trying to get the word out there about our project.
Sure. Well, happy to help you spread the word. I am a content creator myself, obviously, so these kinds of projects have a special place in my heart of trying to give back to the people that are actually making the content instead of, like Spotify pays artists nothing, and without the artists, they have nothing. It's crazy.
Exactly.
So,
YouTube's the same way, right? You can say the users are just as important as the content creators.
Absolutely.
And the platforms just take so much. Actually, you want to hear something crazy?
Sure.
I was talking to a coworker yesterday, and Tencent, they're essentially like the largest gaming distribution center in China.
Uh-huh.
And you know what their cut is? They take 90% of all revenues and give 10% to the developers.
Oh my God. What's the incentive to even release with them? Just because they have the user base, I guess?
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
They have essentially, they say they have like 800, 900 million users, but to imagine getting a 90-10 cut, I mean, that's ridiculous.
I would never accept that deal.
It's crazy, right? So
Yeah.
That's like how much power these centralized like platforms have, these distribution giants. So It's crazy. I mean, when I heard that, I was shocked. I was like, what?
Well, that actually doesn't surprise me a ton, just because I know, like, here in America, so I've also got some pretty heavy involvement in the music industry and connected.
Uh-huh.
And like, so there's a company in the United States called Clear Channel that owns everything. They own all the billboards, they own all the radio stations, they own everything. And if you're an artist that gets signed with them as a promotion deal, it's great for you as an artist, but it's so restrictive. Like you can't play in the same town as somebody else on a certain day, and like there's all these crazy rules around it. So I could just see, I guess I'm just identifying with your, the power that content creators have. Ultimately, what it comes down to is if you don't want to follow the Clear Channel rules, you're not getting the media push, basically.
Yeah.
So
I guess any publicity, so it sucks. I mean, you just kind of have to deal with it. But hopefully, blockchain will change that.
Yep, that's what we're in it for, isn't it? Changing some things around from the traditional systems. So.
Yep.
Cool, man. Well, I think that's about all I got for today, unless there's anything else specific that you want to touch on.
Dude, I had a great time chatting with you.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. This was a lot of fun. I hope we can do this again in the future.
I'm certainly open to it. Absolutely. Especially if you guys have new announcements and things. I'm always. I say this to anybody we work with. I'm always interested in hearing the updates. So yeah, let's stay in touch.
We'll definitely keep you posted.
Fantastic. Well, hey man, great. We will get this one up. I'll watch through it and just make sure it all looks good, and we'll get this up and live ASAP. So I will send it over to you, and you can take a look at the final product shortly.
Great. Look forward to it.
All right, outstanding. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on the channel. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate you spending your time with me today, and look forward to hearing more things from Castbox in the near future.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hey, my pleasure. All right. We'll talk soon. Take it easy, Calvin. Have a great weekend.
Thanks. You too.
All right, for sure. Talk to you soon.